Welcome to the Citizens for an Open and Responsible Edgewood podcast. This is your council recap for the December 4th, 2019 Town Council meeting. Today is December 5th, the day after. My name is Adrian Terry, and I'm joined again by Jerry Powers. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
The meeting last night was eventful, well attended, some interesting topics of discussion, and we're here today to share some of those with you. If you would, Jerry, why don't you give the folks a sense of how well attended the meeting was and what the level of participation was by the audience?
Well, it was a packed room, and especially for this time of year, people are busy starting to get ready for the holidays, traveling. I'm traveling myself today, but we're taking time to do this before. So it was a really well-attended meeting, and the people that were there had some very eloquent comments. You know, maybe we could play a clip and give people an idea of what happened there.
Next person is Eric Schultz.
I did a quick calculation. There's 19 homes on West Church and Ridgewood. And somebody told me it was $1.8 million to run a sewer line down there. If you divide that by 19, it comes to $94,000 per house. If we need more liquid waste, washing machines, showers, it would make more sense to pick up a hotel, the RV park, which you looked kind of strange at me when I said somebody told me they were going to put that into the sewer system when we were told they couldn't do that. I don't understand what this push for West Church is. It would make a lot more sense to go up Quail Road where there's a whole lot more houses and it'd be an economy of scale. I also got a phone call saying that they were going to ram through the sewer project tonight and that everybody needed to show up. That's against state law. You've got to have an open meeting, you've got to advertise it. I also don't understand why you three on that side of the bench want to take over the water company. The water is regulated by the PRC. You can't change the quality of the water. So why would we spend all that money and put everybody in town at risk financially to have the city run the water? From what I understand, you can't even run the sewer plant correctly. EPCOR said that they were willing to take it over and had people that were qualified and would run it, and we're told no thank you. I'm not following the processes here, and I'd like somebody to answer the questions. I think that I'm asking respectfully, I'm trying to be nice about it, but I have issues with corruption. I don't want to put in a $6,000 septic system for the city to show up in 3 minutes and say, or in 3 years or 3 months, say, oh, you need to give us $10,000 or $20,000.
Thank you.
That's not fair to me.
One of the issues that we've been stressing as core as one of our primary objectives is transparency in local government. And one of the issues that we have has been with the minutes for the town council meetings, which over the course of time have become less and less substantive. Information is being left out, removed, redacted, etc. And the problem with that is it doesn't accurately reflect what's actually going on. One of the first things that happened at the town council meeting on December 4th was after the approval of the agenda, the town had to approve the consent agenda, which included the minutes for the prior council meeting as well as the minutes for the prior Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And Councilor Audrey Jaramillo took great time and exercised or showed that she had exercised diligence to review the minutes, and what she found was that they still weren't reflective of the public comment and the substance of those comments, particularly related to the nepotism issue. And one of the things that we've been talking about is whether or not the town needs to do something better in their minute-taking role.
Well, it's good that we're actually live broadcasting these and recording them. Otherwise, you know, when you look at the minutes, like you said, it doesn't really reflect what happened in a lot of cases, especially if there's something that the town wants to sweep under the rug, which this whole nepotism thing is really irritating to them. But it's a very important issue because the mayor's cousin was leading this comprehensive plan steering committee that actually steered this plan in directions that the town doesn't want to go. So some of the items, I attended some of those meetings. I know you did too, and I know some of our other members did. Tom McGill did, and made some comments at the meeting regarding how when you bring up an idea, whether it's volunteering or helping people to get their GED within the community, or trails or recreational facilities, if it's not something that the staff wanted, it just disappears in the process.
And what was striking, and I'm glad that Audrey Jaramillo was able to point this out, was that this nepotism issue has been bubbling for several weeks now.
Yeah.
And it was in a meeting in October of this year that Karen Kaiser made public comment to say, hey, Mayor, I think you appointed your first cousin and you violated the ordinance. Please give us an explanation. Well, over the course of time, we've actually had an admission from Ms. Huppertz and from the mayor that they are in fact first cousins. But yet, at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on November 12th, apparently Cheryl Huppertz still participated.
Yeah. Apparently, she tendered her resignation as she walked in the door and then participated in the meeting. So why is this important? It's extremely important, even though they don't want to admit it, because there's a concept of the fruit of the poisonous tree. So if the process or the tree is poisoned, the fruit's going to be poisoned. So the Governmental Conduct Act for the state that governs how public officials are to conduct themselves says they are to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Well, this is far beyond that.
Absolutely. So one of the solutions that was discussed at the council meeting when Audrey Jaramillo was bringing up her complaints about the insufficiency of the minutes was that Councilor Holly actually interrupted her and suggested that she meet with staff offline, I assume that means on her own time, in order to make sure that they get the minutes correctly. Now, that sounds great, but really we should be able to rely on town staff to accurately reflect what takes place in the minutes.
Right, so either town staff is incompetent or they're being directed to manipulate the minutes to obscure issues that are vitally important but that the mayor doesn't want to address. And there was some case law brought up by Councilor Jaramillo that showed that when the process was tainted by nepotism, that the judge ruled that all of the decisions that got made during that period by the tainted council or government body were thrown out. And that could happen here.
Yeah, they could be null and void.
And that should happen here.
Yeah. So we're hopeful that the town will take greater steps to prepare the minutes accurately, substantively, and to reflect the content of the comments and input that's received from the public, not just the people who are speaking.
Yeah, the public wants transparency. That was clear at our November 14 meeting. They were adamant about it. And we are as well. We're committed to it. So we're committed to taking whatever actions and stay engaged till we get the kind of government that we deserve.
Well, and that brings up another issue about the public input. I have been known on occasion to be a yakking man. Okay? And I know sometimes you and I get to talking, and you've got that character trait too. But there are some people out there who don't. There are some people who they're not able to express themselves in the way that they would like, right? We're all different.
Yeah.
We all have different traits, talents, and we don't make value judgments between these different talents that people have. But it's important to note that there are people who would like to be heard on these issues that are bubbling up in the town, including the sewer, the water, the nepotism, the equestrian center, the park at Echo Ridge, who would like to yield their time to a friend, to a neighbor, to a representative to express their opinion. But unfortunately, the town is prohibiting anybody from doing that. And we're going to show you a clip where Jerry here is talking to the mayor about Robert's Rules of Order.
I've only got a few seconds left. I looked in Robert's Rules of Order, and it is possible and it is common practice to yield time. I'm asking if anybody here would yield their minutes to me.
Sir, we only allow each person 2 minutes.
Have you not adopted Robert's Rules of Order?
We have, but we don't have that in process for the public. We let them have the 2 minutes. We don't let one person go on and on and on.
Well, I think my comments will represent a fair number of people in here, and it would be an economy of time for everybody to be able to continue.
Sir, your time is up.
So you're standing on that even though Robert's Rules of Order's been adopted and there's
Yes.
conflict with that? Okay, we'll
Standing
take
tradition.
that up in a different venue then.
So point of order, Mayor, if we have adopted Robert's Rules of Orders in our operating resolution, then we should allow other people to yield time
Well,
to others.
Counselor, it's been a tradition here, 2 minutes per person, so everybody can get in their comments.
So you can see that wasn't well received by the mayor. He did not want me to continue my comments. And the thing is that, as Ray Severs pointed out, this has historically been the case where you could yield your time, but whenever it's something that the mayor doesn't want to hear or the council doesn't really want to hear, then they're now changing the process to say, no, you can't do that. Because and like you said, I remember there was a Seinfeld episode where Jerry Seinfeld pointed out that people are deathly afraid of public speaking. They did a survey and said that they would rather be dead than have to go in front of the public and speak. So he said at a funeral, that means you'd rather be the guy in the casket than the guy giving the eulogy.
And there is some truth to that. And I would tell you that obviously I've had a lot of practice at it. It's part of my profession. It's helped me in that way. But there are times where I say I'd like to be a different man, and I wish I was a mechanic, but I can't fix my lawnmower or my weed whacker. So there is certainly truth in the phrase that practice makes perfect, and things that people don't practice, like public speaking, may not come naturally to them. And certainly our residents who are not gifted public speakers should still be heard, and they should be able to be heard through Robert's Rules of Order, where you can yield your time to somebody else.
Right. So another thing that came up last night, I mean, this is now a recurring pattern with the mayor. He has these rules where you're not supposed to curse. He has these rules, his platform for a campaign platform when he's running for mayor said that he wasn't going to accept input from all people and not have hostile retaliation toward any member of the public. And yet he is going off last night, as he did at one of the previous council meetings, attacking members of the public and specifically core members because we are revealing these things. We're being effective at it, and it's obvious that he doesn't want these things to be public knowledge. So maybe we can play that clip.
This stuff about the line running through our place, that's through there. That was the way the engineers designed it. Jerry Powers comes with his comment about, well, they put them where you tell them to. I didn't tell anybody to put it there. Draw runs downhill, you follow the grade of that down there to it. Jerry Powers. Who can ever forget one of his famous comments? It was at a Santa Fe County, they were reworking their land development use code, their like subdivision ordinance and that, and he got up there one night in Stanley and told them, well, I don't want anything that would interfere with me and General Motors getting a factory set up on my farm there northwest of Moriarty. Scott Wiley Johnson's old place.
That's a lie, sir.
And I don't see a General Motors plant down there, but that's the kind of stuff, he gets up, this little recording he's done. He used to come to the community center years ago and did it. He didn't have the little camera like he's got now. He had a little bit bigger, bulkier thing. He's come to these meetings way years ago, and then he drifted off to something else. Comes and goes, but I guess EPCOR's got him now working for him.
Do I get equal time, sir?
No, you don't. This is my matters from the mayor. I'm just responding to stuff I heard tonight.
So in reviewing the agenda packet for the town council meeting, there were a number of enclosures to that document, including some financial information from the clerk treasurer. And one of the things that was revealed is that the town has been spending an extraordinary amount of money on legal fees. And as you've noted before, the mayor kind of ran on a platform of these campaign promises, one of which was to reduce legal fees and not get tied up in nonsense. But apparently that's not the case here. And within this large expenditure of legal fees, it was determined, I'm not sure if by you, but you certainly have received the information, that a bulk of it was for EPCOR.
Right, exactly. So they're marching down this path of spending money in a big fashion, as you pointed out, for EPCOR, which the vast majority of people are they're not just saying it, they're yelling it, that they do not want EPCOR. They don't want this takeover. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't spend millions, 14 to 28 million, on something that is currently functioning well, and they're operating a sewer system that isn't functioning well. So the town doesn't have good expertise at that, in operating utilities, and they don't want it taken over, but they're spending money on it.
And do you remember offhand what those legal bills were for this last cycle?
Well, it was I think it was 28,000 in total, of which they admitted that 18,000 was for EPCOR. I suspect that maybe some of that other stuff might also be for EPCOR, but at least 18,000.
That's a lot of money, and that's certainly money that we will not get back if and when the town finally comes to its senses and decides this is a bad idea.
And it's 180 degrees from the mayor's campaign promises of reducing legal fees. This is going completely the other direction. They've already admitted in their engineering report about the condemnation of EPCOR that they estimate about $2 million in legal fees to do it. And we think that is probably undervalued by at least 100%. It'd probably be more like $4 million by the time they're through. Historically, that's the way it goes.
And certainly could be true because EPCOR does not want to sell their water system.
Yeah,
It will be contested.
It's a big lawsuit is basically what it is, to sue them to take over possession of the water company.
Now, the mayor continues along his typical line of EPCOR is not ready for discussion, but clearly there's work being done behind the scenes to the tunes of tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And what is that?
Well, I'm not sure what that is. I noticed that the mayor actually accused me of being an EPCOR employee last night, and that he's saying that all of this resistance is all about EPCOR. Well, if it is, the thing to do is bring it out in public and let the public express themselves. They're not even listening to what the public is saying. The mayor avoided going to the legacy meeting on November 14th, or he would have heard that. John Abrams also avoided going. So they missed a great opportunity there. So I guess I need to call EPCOR and find out where my paycheck is, because I've been accused of it, and yet I'm not getting any payment for it. So one other issue that I'd like to address too is something that happened last night. Is Councilor Jaramillo is taking a beating for standing up for the things that she sees going wrong. And it's most of the stuff the public is upset about. And so she's trying to represent her constituency. And yet here she is being accused now of coordinating with CORE. Well, we have some of the same problems with things that are obvious that stick out like a sore thumb. She's seen it. She's taking that position that we need to address these issues that the public is upset about. Normally that's called good representation.
That's right.
Here it's made out to be some kind of nefarious plot to coordinate with CORE.
Yes.
So let's play that.
Counselor Abrams, I'm kind of like you tonight. Well, here we go get blasted again on all sorts of stuff. I was born in the evening, but I wasn't born last evening. I can see the coordination at work here. But Counselor Jaramillo had some questions. She came out in the newspaper following our last meeting there. Basically says when she voted in June 2018 for the sewer extension to Church Cactus and Main Street, she objected that Bassett did not recuse himself, said she did not know the line would run through the Bassett property. She thought the line would run adjacent to the property.
So now the other way she's taken a beating is she's been advocating for CAFR for a long time for the town, which is a high standard of excellence in reporting financial information. So, but she's been thwarted by not being able to put items on the agenda. And when she brings it up and tries to get it on the agenda, it's never made it on the agenda. This has been going on for about a year. And last night, it was so ironic that Councilor Hawley brings up this commendation for the RTD district, the transportation district, getting an award for doing this when she's been trying to get the town to do it, and they won't allow it to happen.
So, in other words, Councilor Hawley was praising the bus transit system for having exceptional financials.
Yes.
And it is Councilor Jaramillo, who's in fact an auditor, an accountant, who has been trying to push for the town to have excellent financials and she keeps getting denied at every turn and can't even get the issue on the agenda.
Right, but she's not in the clique from the Mayor Bassett, Councilor Abrams, and Councilor Hawley. She's not in that clique, so any idea she has, even if they like it when somebody else does it, is not a good idea for the town.
Well, one of the things that I found interesting was a comment that was made by Councilor John Abrams at last night's meeting. There was great substantive discussion about the comprehensive plan, and we won't have time in this podcast to go through all of those details. We'd certainly encourage you to watch the town council meeting on your own so that you could become informed, and we have that information on the Eye on Edgewood Facebook page and the Eye on Edgewood YouTube page. So that's available for your viewing at your convenience. But great substantive discussion, and it's clear that Councilor Jaramillo and Councilor Sherry Abraham have taken a lot of time to go through this comprehensive plan document, which is some 70, 80 pages, and then it has appendices, to look at it line by line to make sure that it's accurate, that it's consistent with the town's vision, and that it reflects the public input. Well, what's striking is that there's this great contrast between these two counselors and the other two who say nothing about the comprehensive plan, have zero input, and this is what John Abrams said. We'll play the clip for you now.
Councilor Abrams?
I don't know exactly what to say tonight. I appreciate the public thrashing, everyone. Thank you. I do appreciate it a lot. I have an observation that information and belief have a problem getting in the way of truth. And I don't know how to address that. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
So, having heard that in your own words, I'm not sure what to make sense of that. I have an observation that information and belief gets in the way of the truth. I don't know what that means, Jerry. Do you have a sense of that?
It makes me dizzy because you can't reconcile those two. You have to have good information to get at the truth. So I don't understand that comment. It seems like another way of trying to obscure or devalue or marginalize the good job and the good work and analysis that the two counselors are doing.
And, we don't want to draw too many inferences, and we try to stick to the facts, but there's certainly a tone in the way that Councilor Abrams speaks to the public that suggests that he really doesn't value their input.
Yeah, it's astounding, really, the culture in the current town government around abusing people for coming forward and speaking. Now, several people last night, members of the public, expressed absolute opposition to the idea of residential sewer in their neighborhoods. Nobody wants that, and it's millions of dollars. So we can play a short clip of that, but I want to point out that in the comp plan, they've now added a service area for the sewer that includes all these residential neighborhoods. So this is a guiding document that's supposed to be like a roadmap going forward. So now they're going to be able to rely on that at some point if we don't get that out of there that says, hey, this we were given a mandate to do residential sewer because here it is in our guiding document. That's what they do.
Correct.
So let's play the clip from Heather Mitchell.
Absolutely.
Next person up is Heather Mitchell.
Mayor and councilors, I understand that tonight is sort of the eye on Edgewood and what they want to see happen, but we're also the eye on Ridgewood. I understand the city wants to put the sewer system into Ridgewood area. Us as a big part of the city, we do not want that in our area. That's the eye on our community. We don't want it there. We don't need it. We have 11 houses. I understand that's the direction you want to go, but it's a financial burden that the city doesn't need to take because we're all been told that we've been exempt as long as we are in compliance, so there's no need to run that down our roads. And I appreciate that, and I understand the 2 minutes. So somebody else can take the stage, but we don't want it down our area. That's not the eye on Ridgewood. It might be the eye on Edgewood, but not on our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry, I would argue to you that after listening to Heather, her statements are unequivocal.
Absolutely.
She does not want sewer, and the people in her community, in her neighborhood, do not want sewer.
Right. Well, and here's the problem, one of the problems I have with, besides wasting millions of dollars on something nobody wants, I've seen this happen in areas before, like in the North Valley of Albuquerque, where you have a nice rural neighborhood, it has a certain kind of rural charm, there's horses, they have multi-use paths, and then the city runs sewer into that area, and it may not happen immediately, but as the planners change over and then it gets into the document, and then 5 years down the road, they say, oh, well, now we should reduce the lot size from 2 acres down to a 1/4 acre, because we can, because the sewer will
Yep.
facilitate it, and then it becomes like Rio Rancho and destroys the character of the neighborhoods.
And it happens without people really even knowing that those are the implications of these decisions.
Exactly. So, here's a clip of the mayor talking about how the other counselors, Abrahams and Adamio, knew exactly that he was going to run the sewer onto his private property. And so maybe we can play that clip.
So in the minutes that night, we had discussion, consideration, action on issuing an IFB for sewer line construction on Church, Cactus, and Main. And it says it right here, just the way it worked out. Mayor Bassett stated, before we begin discussion, full disclosure and in accordance with requirements set forth in the Town of Edgewood Ordinance and the New Mexico Governmental Conduct Act, portions of this project will be constructed on property owned by the Bassett Trust.
Lift station.
Counselor, I didn't talk when you talked. Again, your words. She did not know the line would run through the Bassett property. Portions of this project will be constructed on property owned by the Bassett Trust. So then we go on down through here, and Counselor Jaramillo made a motion to ask me to recuse from the project. A vote was taken, there was 2 fors, 2 against, so it died for lack of a majority. Counselor Abraham that night asked for a map of the project, which was located on the wall of the community center. So there was plenty of evidence available that night where the line was going to go. I stated right up front, like you're supposed to, and made it quite clear, portions of it would be constructed on property owned by the Bassett Trust. When Counselor Jaramillo tells you she didn't know that, she's lying to you, plain and simple. No, don't talk up back there. I disclosed everything on that. There was a map in that room that night. Everything was clear and above board.
What he's saying here is that there was a map on the wall, so they would have known where it was. But this map that was on the wall was the entire sewer design for the entire town. So, and Councilor Abrahams is asking for a specific route of this segment, so she could see exactly where this segment's going, not have to ferret out on the wall out of all of the town design which part they're going to build. So we have audio actually from the meeting that the mayor was referring to where he said they all knew everything, and here's audio, we can play this, and you'll notice that Councilor Abrahams is asking for this particular map segment, and they're not providing it so that she would know exactly what was built. It's another sleight of hand about getting them to vote for something where they don't know exactly what it is. They don't know that it's going onto the mayor's property. They know it's going by his property. They know that the lift station is going to be there, but this line segment was completely obscured in this discussion. So let's play that audio.
Okay. And so some of the research that I did in online in looking at, I guess, different property uses and things like that, without going into too much detail about closed session matters, I won't go there, but I I did see that when there are utility improvements to property, on property, along property, that typically there is a much greater value to that property. And so then what exists at the time, right? And so you're making utility improvements along the property that could be valuable and increase the value of the land.
Or decrease it.
Or, I'm sorry, increase it.
No, or decrease it.
Or decrease.
Oh, yeah.
How do you say decrease?
You run one of them natural gas pipelines out there, they take up like 75 feet of right-of-way, and they tell you there's a 200-foot blast zone around it. So suddenly you've got a big old piece of ground out there that you can't do a whole lot with. Cuts both ways.
Okay. So I guess it would be, you know, I always try to err on the side of transparency and be cautious with conflicts. And I have done that already twice since I've been on council, even though it wasn't actually required by the Governmental Conduct Act. And so my opinion would be that you should recuse yourself because of potential conflict of interest, being that the Bassett Trust land is right there alongside this property.
Now, is that a motion?
Okay, I do make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that you recuse yourself from this action of this body.
Second.
So if you've
Do you
got
have
that,
that
don't you have
map?
the information?
I don't have the map. That's what I'm asking. Where is the map that shows exactly where this is gonna go?
There's a map up there on the wall.
Okay, that's for the whole project, correct?
That's for the design area.
Okay. So there's no map available for this tonight?
Other than what's on the wall, no.
Okay.
Now, another thing that the mayor said in his defense of this sewer line construction on his property was that for years and years and years, there were several people who were requesting sewer service. So now that the Cactus Main Line has been built, we have a clip here of Councilor Sherry Abraham asking the mayor how many people have in fact connected to the system.
Meeting, you talked about the wastewater line going the way it did because several individuals had been requesting wastewater service on the ICIP meeting since 2013,
Even before that.
even before that. So now that the wastewater line is there, how many of them have applied to hook up?
Haven't sent out them letters yet, but I've had indications from several of them.
Okay, can you bring that forth when we,
It's just anecdotal,
okay.
talking to them.
Have we hooked up the Edgewood Police Department and Community Center?
Have not.
Are we going to?
Still in the plans.
Okay. Since the letter hasn't gone out, I guess we don't know how many exemptions have been applied for. And since no one's applied, I guess no one's, none have been issued, correct?
Be about right.
Okay.
And as you heard, the number was 0.
Right. And there's all kinds of excuses about it, but you know, the public is smarter than that. The audience got it immediately. They knew exactly that this was all obfuscation. So.
Once again, we would like to thank Councilors Audrey Jaramillo and Sherry Abraham for continuing to uphold the public trust, to do their diligence to represent the citizens of this community. And we remain concerned at some of the conduct of the mayor and some of the inferences that he makes. For example, he suggests that Audrey's good work in going through the comp plan and making sure that everything was dotted and crossed appropriately is actually putting her finger in her mouth to test the winds of politics, because the only reason that she's concerned for us is because she wants to sit in the mayor's chair. We'll let you hear that clip, and then we'll let Jerry make some final comments.
But I just wanted to make you people aware that in her comments, Councilor Jaramillo was wrong on that. She knew better that night. It's in the minutes here. plain as day. I said right up front, didn't hide anything, followed the letter of the law. So when I see that, I mean, she's deceiving you, plain and simple. But I understand that. Counselor Jaramillo's pretty ambitious, and I think she's got her eye on the chair I'm in right now. And she's, she never misses a chance to get a lick in on anything we do. She brings up that 2004-07, and a couple meetings back, I showed pictures of the stuff the town had did over the years, roads, buildings, stuff like that. Every bit of those projects went in with 2004-07 in place.
It's exactly as you said. He's making all kinds of nefarious implications here. And, in any other jurisdiction, her actions would be seen as good representation of her constituents. And instead, he's putting it down like it's all out of ego and all that. And my experiences with her is she's diligent. She's an auditor. She's an accountant. She does her homework. And he's upset about it because it's revealing some of these misdeeds in the town government.
And that's one of the things that they say about personal attacks, right?
Yeah, personal attacks are the last resort of people who don't have any defense against revealing their misdeeds. And so they start attacking the people that are bringing it up. And I've experienced it, and Tom McGill has experienced it, and CORE has experienced it, and Councilor Abrahams and Jaramillo sure have taken a lot of abuse for it.
Well, we're hoping for better. We believe that through our efforts and through collaboration with other members of the public, that we're actually moving the needle on this one. And we're going to continue to do that. We hope that you'll come back and join us for future CORE podcasts. This is Adrian Terry and Jerry Powers signing out for now. Thank you very much.